Power Rangers in Space is a fan favorite, but one of the weaker parts of the season is the monsters. They're not horrible, this video wouldn't exist if they all were, but because it's heavily story driven, most monsters don't have a personality to really talk about, so it's harder to pick them. I could easily say, this monster's cool because he looks like a satellite dish, but I prefer to pick them on design and story, like what happened to the team or Ranger in the episode. There's not much to say about Elephant Titan since all he's doing is trying to knock over a building, for example. Thinking about that, this is gonna be a serious problem with RPM's monster. They went one step further with most of them not even speaking. Yay. If you have an idea or topic you'd like me to cover, leave a comment below. I might use it in a future video.
See more.
I was very surprised that Space adapted this episode. Super Sentai always likes to do the cutesy monster stuff, either to make the brooding loner get knocked down a peg like the Peach monster in Bokenger, or just have that annoying baby episode like in Deca Ranger with Umiko. It's not always done on PR, but not just that. They gave it to Andros, which was the best choice. He's established as very naive. Andros is an alien from another planet, so he can easily be manipulated if he doesn't understand the culture. Trip also had the same issue in Time Force. In this case, Andros had an advantage. He protected Seymour because Andros went through similar things. KO-35 was lost because of Spectre and Astronema. Andros didn't want to see Seymour follow the same fate. It had two layers to the story, goofy looking alien, hero saving the day, but also giving some hope to Andros that the galaxy isn't screwed. That was Andros' arc. He started off as this cold person, almost losing Zane. Zordon was captured, his planet gone. It's hard to have hope. Pierre does more than you think when you look at an episode more closely.
Lionizer.
Most of the season is mainly for their story. I don't really comment on their looks, but Lionizer, I thought he was really cool looking. Gold, sleek, random bazooka. It even ties into Justin's story. Lion going after prey, aka Storm Blaster. I was happy enough that they brought Justin back with good content, but the monster's important too. Some seasons of PR will have monsters but don't really make sense towards the plot they set up, like the Hydro Contaminator in Zeo. The monster was used in O-Ranger for a completely different purpose. That's why he had this cloaking effect. I think the worst monster in this regard was Bukala. I love that episode, but if you know culture, you'll know it's Japanese and not alien. I really wanted a figure for this guy.
Atarax.
The reason why I like this monster, it gave Professor Phononimus a moment. They always like going back to this monster type. They always have to have some sort of sonic power or speakers on them. On top of it, this was a huge reveal for Andros. Without the craziness from Batarax, the Rangers, and the Professor, Andros might have not found out the truth of who Astronema was. It was also a good way for one of the generic monsters to get a decent episode.
Pickable.
Another staple of PR, the bad monster turning good. Well, actually, in this case, Pickable was always good. Ecliptor and the others were trying to make him evil. It brings up the bigger PR universe. Not every monster is evil. We've had tons and tons of monsters attack Earth all the time. Not everyone is going to do that. At the same time, the episode also delves into how Spectre's army worked. Seeing how Ecliptor basically turned Corona into Astronema. You don't build an army from nowhere, you have to have people that had things go wrong, and you take advantage of that hate. Or others that want to be tough and don't have morals, so they don't care who they stomp. You see how Spectre grew that army and how Ecliptor is a master, but it doesn't always work. Pickable never turned, and Cassie was able to save him. It's so rare to get a good monster that doesn't die in the episode. Till today, we have to assume he's living on Earth or he moved on to another planet. I would love Pickable to return to the series. He'd be perfect for a comic issue. He'd work even better if it was an SPD story.
Tankenstein.
The monster that destroyed Mega Voyager. Tankenstein had multiple forms. He went after the Rangers directly, taking on Zane's Rover, their Zords, the Battleizer, the whole 9 yards. He invoked Transformers. Tankenstein even had a similar look to Unicron. He showed that all the data Ecliptor gathered paid off, a hodgepodge of armor, weapons, abilities, even regenerating. It showed how much a monster has to do just to deal with the Ranger stuff. The last standalone episode to build up before the finale, and it showed. It's basically Space's horror episode with those cars that are cursed that want to kill people, and it seemed fitting that the last monster was an evil car that blew up something close to the Rangers, giving us a full circle.
Craterites.
It's interesting how Power Rangers figures out ways to fit in the rejected Sentai minions. Sometimes they're one-offs, Some get to be used fairly often. I never had a problem with that. Some designs just don't work for the style Pierre picked for that season, but this episode of Mega Ranger was an interesting concept. Using the simulator room, another Star Trek trope, they broke out and went after the city, basically a bug infestation episode. They even had the ability to form into one giant craterite to fight the Astro Megazord. It was a fun filler episode, just like how the Triptoids were introduced in Dino Thunder. If you can justify the look in some fashion, you can get away with the odd designs. Too bad they didn't think of using this ability of the simulator room in another episode, like Andros was able to control them and use them to fight off some forces.
Horrible.
I love monster plans that are able to learn and beat the Ranger's abilities. In this case, Horrible was given Ecliptor's powers so that he could scan the Ranger's weapons, throwing back their attacks. Till this day, Ecliptor's abilities weren't really explained. I guess him being a wireframe, he acted like a blank slate. Anything he sees, he could copy/learn, kind of like Ditto in Pokemon. One of those minor problems with space being different to Mega Ranger. I saw Horrible as a big antenna, absorbing data, understanding the Rangers, which eventually got funneled into future creations. That was Astronomer's main theme. If you look at every monster and what they were doing to Zordon, they were adapting, absorbing, and converting things to fit their needs to conquer. Now, what villain from Star Trek does that remind you of? I've always said space looked like Star Trek. It also got lots of ideas too, which lined up pretty good with the Mega Ranger footage with the whole computer aspect of the series. It was a lucky happenstance. Even when Horrible was killed off, they made another bull and transferred the data, just like the Borg. In some ways, Space's version of the Borg was better.
Beryllium bug.
What happened on KL-35? Well, we get to finally know with this guy. Everything looked perfect, no damage, no pollution, nothing. But the people were gone. Turns out they were mutated into bugs. This answers how Dark Spectre overwhelms Zordon and the other planets. It's one thing to have an army like the Machine Empire. It's another to be fighting people you know. That's why everything fell apart so quickly, and probably why past villains hated Astronema. All the other guys try to conquer with magic and robots. Astronema just takes a planet and makes an army. This makes you think, what was Zordon going to be used for? Since we know Zordon can make a sweeping wave across the galaxy, eliminating most evils, they were probably going to do a similar process. Maybe use the wave as a carrier to send the beryllium bug across the galaxy, infecting everyone it can. Combine that with taking Corone. It's possible with Corone's people, she was going to be used to either manipulate Zordon's mind to do the act, or use her abilities to maybe take those powers into herself so she can make the wave. Yeah, you could see why Spectre was loved and feared by everyone. Not only that, we almost lost half of the Space Rangers, and why Earth was focused down to the wire, because they found the cure that could stop them. Even if they got Zordon converted or his power, they didn't want to take that chance.
Liz Wizard.
Probably the most famous standalone team-up episode out there. Liz Wizard put Carlos in a situation where he attacked Cassie. This was his first time dealing with this. When becoming a Power Ranger, a hero in general, you're not going to think about attacking a friend, so when it happens, it's going to affect you. You're going to doubt yourself. Was I too weak? Did I train enough? Why was I too slow? In reality, it was not his fault. Liz Wizard just did a cheap move and swapped places. This is what I always wanted to see from a Ranger. Everyone's been in huge, difficult situations, lives are in the balance, but at the end of the day, the whole team moves on. Not everyone's going to be like that. Some will quit. That's a fact of life. Carlos believed he wasn't worthy being a Ranger anymore. But the show went one step further and brought back Adam, creating another team-up episode. This didn't need to happen. Carlos and the others could have worked this out alone, but they decided to close out their story. Adam was Carlos's teacher till he left. He felt responsible for him. He believed in him, and to prove that being a Ranger is that important, he uses his power morpher because lives are at stake, things can happen, but if you're able to help, help, even at the risk of your life. Adam's learned that over the years, and sometimes you need to do it. You know, people ask, what's the most powerful moment in the series for you? It's when Adam pulled out that morpher. Alpha warned him, and he still made that decision, showing Carlos the hard way in confronting your fears. That's why he's the teacher. What's even more amazing, all this came out of a generic Mega Ranger episode. Shows what Power Rangers can really do with very little.
Body switcher.
I don't know if you want to count this one as a comedic episode, because there's tense moments, but we always gotta have a body swap episode. This was the episode that broke Astronomer's facade. The monster design was random, but it still actually worked with the story. We look at sickles for Grim Reapers and stuff, but it is a tool to cut down / gather plants. This one is Ashley's best episode. It's great for both of them because you can act as someone else. Cruz had to act like Astronomer while trying to be Ashley at the same time, and vice versa for Perkins. Total chaos everywhere. Then to top it off, watching Astronomer morph as the Yellow Ranger, seeing that, I was weirded out. Space was very creative with their ideas. This monster was originally in the final episode of Mega Ranger. He was there to try to reveal their secret identities. This was never going to be used for the final episode, but perfect for an original filler. While Space's monsters aren't memorable like the Psycho Rangers were, they did their job pretty well. In some cases, dang good. That Tankenstein episode, I never forget it. You know what's funny? That episode is what Turbo tried to do in all of those stupid filler episodes they had in the first half. They were joking on movies and stuff, they kept failing and failing, but they finally got it right here. That's what made Space a fan favorite. It wasn't all that pretty, lots of bottle episodes to save on money, but what it had was a drive to do something good. It doesn't have to be great, but when the writers genuinely care, budget doesn't get in the way. This is why I'm very harsh on newer seasons like Ninja Steel. They have so much at their fingertips to pull off episodes today. They could do it better. New episodes Mondays, fan commentaries Tuesdays. Next week, the bad monsters of In Space. If you like my content, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Due to fair use abuses from the various companies, I no longer feature footage from the various episodes. Thank you for understanding. See you in the next video.